it's Penny, and today we're going to talk through some books that I have purchased over the last couple of months. A lot of them come from thrift shops, so they cost me somewhere between 50 cents and $2, which I'm very proud of, especially because I'm not really supposed to be buying books at the moment, since I am still unemployed thanks to COVID, although it's becoming less and less thanks to COVID and more just to the fact that I'm being fussy. But regardless, I shouldn't be spending money at the moment, so thank goodness for thrift shops. So let's start this haul by talking about the weirdest book first. The first book that I found in a recent thrift shop session was this one, Quazzle by Ellen Dean Foster. So this, I just picked it purely because of the cover. What am I doing with my life? It was only 50 cents, so why not? But it's just like cute and hilarious. These weird little creatures, like obviously completely confused about human artifacts and human life. And it says on the back, the Quazzle knew they'd love the third planet from the sun, but it never occurred to them that anyone lived there. I don't know. I don't know if I will like this, but I just think it's like art to put on the shelf. Also, it has this little, like, I don't know if I'll be able to show you, like a little flip animation in the corner of the book, which is like quite old school really. Yeah, this is 1989. That's about the time when they did all these flip type things. Anyway, it's cool and I'm looking forward to picking that up at some point. Next, I have a random Sweet Valley High book. I pick these up whenever I see them and at some point I'm going to go through and read them all. I did, while I was on holiday, pick one up from a little library and read the first page, and they're quite ridiculous. Also, like, the text is really big and they're super short, so I can't imagine it would take long to read them. This one is Heartbreaker. Will Jessica break Bill's heart too? It's been a long time since I read any Sweet Valley High, but I am excited to read a whole bunch of them at some point in the future. So the next book, I saw it at the thrift shop and I wasn't sure if I wanted to get it or not, and I told myself if it was still there the next time I came back to the thrift shop, then I would count it as fate and I would buy it. So a week later I came back to that same thrift shop with my sister and my cousin, and it was still there, so I bought it. And that is the Dragon Nimbus Novels Volume 1. So it's a wrap-up of The Glass Dragon, The Perfect Princess, and The Loneliest Magician by Irene Radford. So I mainly picked this up because I remember a long time ago when I was like 20-ish, I think I read some books by the same author but under a different name, and I remember looking up that she'd also written stuff under Irene Radford and thinking, oh, I want to read that, but then never finding any of it. So I no longer remember what the other name is that she writes under, but this is also about dragons, I assume, since it's called the Dragon Nimbus. I really don't know much else about it, but I am excited to get to it, even though it's pretty thick. I might treat it as 3 books, because it actually is 3 books, according to the cover, just wrapped up into one. Then I picked up Black Powder War by Naomi Novik. This is the 3rd book, I believe. The 3rd book? Maybe it's the 4th book. Anyway, it's part of the Temeraire series. Now, I'm not sure whether I still want to read the Temeraire series, but I thought this is kind of a pretty book, and so I may as well pick it up since I am at least somewhat interested. Again, dragons, so we like dragons. But I think this dragon is like part of the war. It's like an alternate history where there's dragons that are involved in the war. Which war? I'm not sure, but I picked this book up, and maybe I'll get to it at some point. Then I have 2 books that go together, and I'm very proud because I picked up this one first, which is Lament by Maggie Stiefvater. It's the 2nd book in a series that she wrote and probably will never finish. She's written the first 2, and I think it's been so long now that she doesn't know how to write the 3rd one, because at this point she would write these first 2 very differently. But regardless, I found this one and I was like, should I buy the 2nd book in the series when I don't have the first one? And I decided yes, because I've never seen this book before. I'd never even heard about it. I believe it's some kind of dark fairy tale type story. But anyway, what's really exciting is a few weeks later, maybe even like a month later, I found the first book in the series. And like, they're so similar, and I found them both in the same shop, 50 cents each. I'm pretty sure that the same person must have donated these, and they were donated together, but then they got separated, and now I've brought them back together. very impressive thrift shopping. Then I have Guardian of the Dead by Karen Healy. So this is a book written by a New Zealand author, and I believe it includes Maori mythology. I don't really know much about it other than that, but it is one that I wanted to pick up because I have been looking for books by New Zealand authors. I mean, more specifically, I've been looking for books by Maori authors, or even more specifically, fantasy or science fiction novels written by Maori authors. I'm really struggling to find anything, but this one, at least it does include Maori mythology, and it seems to be fairly high rated, so I'm excited to pick this up. It's actually on my July TBR, so I should be reading this one soon. Then the last book that I picked up from a thrift shop is Heir to Seven Waters by Juliette Marillier. Juliette Marillier is another New Zealand author, so I'm excited about that. But this one I think is the fourth book in the series, and I've only read the first one, so it might be a little while till I get to this one. Still, I am excited. It's like Celtic based fantasy. The first book was like a Seven Swans. What is that fairy tale called? I don't know, there's all the swans. Her brothers turn into swans and she has to do something to try to save them. I really loved it. It made me cry, and I really want to continue this series at some point. Maybe fate will again deliver to me through thrift shops the rest of the books in the series and encourage me to do so. I'm not sure that the fate-based thrift shopping way of managing your TBR is the best way to do things, but it's the best way to do things when you want to buy cheap books. But I do have a few books that I didn't get through thrift shops, although some of them were also free because I won them through giveaways. So firstly, I won The Fated Sky by Mary Robinette Kowal. This is the second book in the Lady Astronaut series, which I really love. It's like an alternate history where they went to space slightly earlier, but also women went to space a lot earlier. But still, they're having to kind of fight for equality and also go to space, so it's an interesting book. So I am really enjoying it. It's also got quite strong themes of anti-racism, with the main woman being quite good at recognizing her privilege as a white woman while still fighting for equality for white women. And also the main character struggles with anxiety. It's just a really great series. So I got that from Kat from Brews and Reviews. I won her giveaway. She sent me that as well as this. So The Stone Sky by N.K. Jemisin is the third book in the Broken Earth trilogy. I'm super excited to continue this series. It's a crazy series about the world having constant apocalypses. Everything kind of gets destroyed, and that's had really interesting effects on society. But there's also these people with the ability to manipulate the earth with their magical powers, but those people are treated with a lot of suspicion and treated really horribly in a lot of ways. There's also just so much more to this series, and I'm really excited to see how N.K. Jemisin is going to wrap it up. Then I also won a copy of This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El-Mota and Max Gladstone. I probably said that name wrong because I say it wrong all the time. So this, I believe, is written in letters between two women from different factions who are trying to change the past. So they're fighting against each other to get the future that each of their different factions wants, but then also they fall in love. I have seen mixed reviews about this. Some people say it is very difficult to read, but it is very short, so I'm excited to pick it up. And I love time travel stuff, so it's exactly the kind of thing I love. Then lastly, I did buy a book. What? For full price, but it's another book by a New Zealand author, and that is From a Shadow Grave by Andy C. Buchanan. I've read some stuff by Andy before and really loved it, so I'm excited to read their new book. I think this is their newest release. It was released last year. And this is like a ghost murder mystery set in Wellington in 1930, I believe. Oh no, what happens is in 1930 a body was discovered in the Mount Victoria Tunnel. If you know Wellington, you'll know the Mount Victoria Tunnel. And then 80 years later, this girl is trying to solve that mystery. Honestly, I just love Andy's writing, so I wanted to support them and order this. So those are all the books that I've hauled recently. I didn't spend that much money on all of them, so I'm pretty impressed with myself, even though I probably shouldn't have bought any since I'm trying to get down to TBR 0. But at least I didn't spend too much money. And there are some of those that I'm really excited to read, as well as like some of them are just fate, right? You can't argue with fate. Anyway, let me know if you've heard of any of those books or if you're interested in reading them. Or, of course, if you have read them, let me know that too. I'd love to talk with you more about the books down in the comments. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are staying safe and keeping well in this ridiculous world that we live in, and I will see you next time.